Yo, what's good, y'all? In today's video, I pretty much got how to make a boss battle and stuff. Just want to clarify, not gonna be like no crazy cutscenes or anything like that. It's just simply NPC just chases you around, tries to hit you with a sword. You can, use like I guess magical attacks and whatnot, and like a little notification will appear saying like, oh, a boss is nearby or something like that kind of thing, right? So yeah, it is 1 a.m., so I am a little tired. So yeah, I might sound a lot of it and whatnot. And yeah, so let's go ahead and let's get straight into the video. Okay, so first things first, I have some things set up and stuff which I will go through. Um, I guess I'll just go through everything individually. Okay, so starting off, very simple sounds. This is a boss sound effect. This is just gonna be my notification sound. This is infinity, which is just like a sound effect for the attack, and then punch, which is just a punch sound effect. I get all my sound effects from the toolbox. Go to the toolbox, go find your own sound effects, right? Inside of server storage, we have the infinity spear. This is for the attack, right? Now to explain to you how to make this, it's a simple part. It is literally a regular part. All it is a what is it called? It is a spear, right? It is just a spear. Here are the properties, the color, the transparency, blah blah blah, the name, and all that. Greatness. Those are all the properties and stuff. It's literally just a regular spear and stuff, and then I'm gonna weld it and stuff. It does have a weld constraint inside of it, which plus icon, just that weld constraint, insert that set part 0 to the infinity spear, and then just leave part 1 blank and stuff. So that's it with that. You're just gonna leave that inside of server storage, right? Then inside of server script service, we just have our animations and stuff, which are just a temporary place to store them. Again, I get all my assets from the toolbox. I got all these animations from the toolbox, right? You have to use your own animations, right? Then we have the enemy. Now to explain this, I made the enemy by simply doing avatar, rig builder, and I dropped in a rig, right? I obviously changed the display name, right here, you can just do that to boss, right? Now I did add a few things. First things first, I added in a next animation. So this is a string value, so plus icon, string value. Name it to next animation. This is how we keep track of like, okay, they just do a left hook, now they need to throw a right hook, or they did a left slash, now I'm to a right slash. So set this to default by whatever thing you want to start first. Like if you want them to start off throwing a left slash, then a right slash, or if you want them to start off with right slash, left slash, you would just put whatever it is first. So left is a string value called the next animation, and its value by default should be left, right? Then one other thing, or actually two other things. We do have a hitbox inside of this, which and stuff. It's just a regular part, and then here are the properties. You'll see it's around, it's transparent, it is around the NPC and stuff. Then here are the sizing and properties and everything, so you guys can do that. We'll constrain inside of it as well. Well, the hitbox, the humanoid root part and stuff. So part 0 is the hitbox, part 1 is the humanoid root part. And then lastly, we just have the sword right here, which again got it from the toolbox. So inside of that, I think that was the right arm. We just have the sword, which is just a mesh part and stuff you can get. This is if you want to have weapons. If not, then you don't have to. All this stuff was just came with the sword. All I did was just add in a weld constraint, welded the sword to the right arm, so that when the NPC moves, the sword moves with it. Right, that simple. So yeah, that's all the prerequisite stuff set up. Let's go ahead and dive straight into the UI and then the scripting. Okay, so starter GUI plus icon screen GUI. Rename this to boss GUI, disable reset on spawn, insert a text label, right? We're just gonna name this to boss. Text label is gonna be a little notifier to say, hey, there's a boss in the area. So we'll do bold text, rich text, scale text, and then you'll just set up some text where you just say, there is a boss nearby. Set the text to it. The text doesn't really matter. Like you can say whatever you want it to say, honestly. I'll just set text stroke color to white, then set text stroke transparency to 0. Then I'll set like the background, so like I don't know, like a darker color kind of thing, something like that. Then I'll just throw in a UI corner. We have like some nice round corners, and then yeah, I will drag this down a little bit and stuff because we're gonna animate this, right? And then yeah, we're done there. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna make it like kind of like appear and disappear kind of thing. So we're going to set the background transparency to 1. We're then going to set our text transparency to 1 as well, and it'll essentially disappear. Then we'll just make it fade in kind of thing with a tween. Now we get to the actual scripting. So open up starter player, local script inside of starter player scripts, rename said local script to enemy script in parentheses put local. This script is simply just for the notification purposes and stuff. The actual enemy, like handling all the enemy stuff, is on the server side. So we'll say first get the tween service, ts is equal to game, get service, tween service, then create a variable for the sound service, local ss is equal to game, get service, sound service, then create a variable for the enemy, which is inside of workspace. So we'll just say workspace wait for child enemy, or your boss, whatever you want to call it. Then create a variable for the local player, which is equal to game.players local player. Then create a variable for the boss GUI, which is equal to player.player GUI, wait for child boss GUI. And lastly, create a variable for notified is equal to false by default. We'll set this value equal to value equal to we'll set its value equal to true once we've notified the player that there is a boss nearby. So we'll say while task.wait, we'll check every 0.1 seconds. Enter, you'll say if notified. So in other words, if notified is true, right? So if the player has already been notified, then we'll continue, we'll skip to the next iteration. Then we will create a variable for our player's character if they have not been notified as of yet. So we'll say player.character. Then you will say workspace wait for child character.name just in case they haven't fully loaded in yet. Then you will use an if statement to determine if they're within range. So you say if enemy dot humanoid root part dot position minus character dot humanoid root part dot position. Go on the outside, you're gonna put dot magnitude, and you're gonna say it's less than magnitude is less than whatever you want it to be. So we'll say less than 25. That'll be our range. Then enter. Then we will set up our tween. So we'll say local notify tween is equal to ts create. Then you will say boss GUI.boss text label, comma, tween info dot new, in parentheses for the duration. You can put whatever you want. I'm going to put 1 second, then comma, and I'm using style. Again, up to you. I'm going to put exponential, and again, up to you. But I'm going to put, for the easy direction, put out, comma, in between the parentheses, special brackets. Then we're going to set these properties. We're going to say background transparency is equal to 0.5 and stuff. You guys can set this to whatever you want and stuff, right? I will say text transparency is equal to 0, right? And then of course we need to play said tween, right? So I will play the tween. Then we'll also play the boss sound effect. So boss play. Then we will say notified is equal to true. Player has been notified. Then we will wait about 5 seconds before we make the notification disappear, I should say. So you can really just copy and paste the notified tween variable. So Control C, Control V, and then you could just say I guess maybe just throw 2 at the end of it, I guess. And then the only difference with this is that you're just going to change out to in. You're going to scroll over. Background transparency will be set to, both of these will be set to 1. So yeah, just to make it fade in and out, and just like that, we are done with the local script. That is, I believe, everything. Yep, that's it. So now we can move on to the server script. Okay, so let's head on over to server script service. Let me just double check to make sure we're good. Okay, we're good. So insert a server script into server script service. Like I said, I have my 3 animations, which I got from the toolbox. I'm just going to put all of these inside of the script. Reminder, plus icon, just type the word animation. Right, rename the animation whatever you want, throw your animation ID in there, and boom, you're good to go. Okay, so we'll name this enemy script, in parentheses, put server, right? You're going to delete print hello world. We're going to create some variables first. Create a variable for the sound service, of course. So the sound service. Create a variable for the debris service, game get service, debris. Create a variable for the tween service, just like we did on the client side. So tween service. And then lastly, create a variable for the enemy themselves, which is, workspace wait for child, enemy. Then we'll set up the first function. We will say game.players, player added, connect function in parentheses, put PLR, which is for the player who joined, enter. Then we will set up the character added function. This is so that we can ensure that every player joined has a hitbox. So we'll say player.character added, connect function in parentheses. You're then going to put the word character, enter. Now we'll create the hitbox. We will say local hitbox is equal to instance.new. You'll say part, we'll say hitbox.name is equal to hitbox. Hitbox.anchored is equal to false. Hitbox.canCollide is equal to false. Hitbox.massless is equal to true. hitbox.transparency, unless you're testing, is equal to 1. Hitbox.size is equal to vector3.new, 5, 6, 2.5. Then you say hitbox.color is equal to color3.new, 1, 0, 0. Again, for testing. Then you will, of course, set its C-frame, pivot to character.humanoid root part.C-frame. Then you will weld it you will weld the hitbox to the character. So you will say local weld constraint is equal to instance.new weld constraint. Then you can happily say weld constraint.part0 is of course equal to hitbox, and then weld constraint.part1 is equal to character.humanoid root part. Then just like that, we have our hitbox set up. Okay, we're done with the first function. Now we're gonna say enemy, wait for child, humanoid, just in case it hasn't loaded as of yet. Then we're gonna set up the animation track so that the enemy can walk, or the walking animation will play, I should say. So we'll say AT short for animation track is equal to enemy dot humanoid dot animator load animation, and then you will say script dot walk animation, and you will just play that so that they can just walk, right? Then you will create a variable, so closest to player, which will be set to nil by default. So just that the NPC will go after the closest player. So while true do, we'll use a while true loop or while loop. We will create a variable called minimum distance. We will say it's equal to math dot huge, right? Then we use a for I loop. We will say for or just a for loop, I guess, in pairs, and we'll say game dot players get children enter. You would then create a variable for the character, so character is equal to v dot character, right? Then you would say if character, just making sure that the character exists. If character, then you will create a variable to calculate the distance. So distance is equal to, just like we did on the local script, enemy.humanoid root part dot position minus character dot humanoid root part dot position. Then you go on the outside, say dot magnitude. Then you'll say if distance is less than minimum distance, right? Enter. You'll say minimum distance is equal to distance. Then closest player, you'll update this to v, which is the new player. Then you will of course say enemy dot humanoid move. You will say I feel like that's the wrong thing. Yep, that's the wrong thing. Move to what I call him. So you'll say move to character dot humanoid part dot hitbox dot position, right? Then we will raycast to detect like once you're in range and all that. So we'll say local start position is equal to enemy dot humanoid root part dot position, or sorry, humanoid root part dot hitbox dot position. Then we will say direction is equal to enemy dot humanoid root part dot hitbox dot cframe dot look vector. Then we will say raycast params is equal to raycast params dot new, close parentheses, enter. We will say raycast params dot filter type is equal to enum dot raycast filter type dot exclude raycast params dot filter descendants instances is equal to special brackets. You will say enemy get descendants, right? Then we will set up a array. We will say array is equal to workspace raycast. In parentheses, you will say start position, comma, direction. Then you need to multiply this by like whatever the range is for like like how far away the player has to be away from the enemy NPC for them to detect if they're able to damage or not. So we'll say times 5. You can adjust that number need be. So raycast params. Then you will say if array and ray.instance, it makes contact with something, and of course ray.instance.name is in fact a hitbox. Enter, then we'll create a variable for attack chance. This is pretty much determine the type of attack, whether it be a regular punch or like a magical ability kind of thing. So we'll say is equal to math.random 1 to 100, right? We'll say if attack chance is is less than or equal to 75. Then we will set up our animation track. We will say local AT. is equal to enemy dot humanoid dot animator load animation. We'll say you will then say script regular bracket enemy dot next animation dot value dot quotation marks punch animation, which is why it's important that you name them the exact same as I have. Left punch animation, right punch animation, or slash and stuff. It doesn't really matter as long as you're consistent. That's all that really matters, honestly. Then you will say at play. Right. Oh, I just realized we just named two variables the same thing. Okay, probably best to name this attack at. Probably for the best to name it. That's a Control C, Control V. Right. So we have that right there. Then we will play the punch sound effect. Right. Then we will create a variable for the enemy character, which is just as a reminder, the player character is equal to ray.instance.parent.parent. Then you will say enemy character.humanoid.health is less than or equal to 5, or however much damage you want to do, completely up to you. And we'll throw in a little bit of knockback. So attachment is equal to instance.new attachment. Wait, I just realized, did I ever? I knew it. I know I forgot to do it. I just remembered. I did not parent these. I know I forgot. Okay, so simply just say hitbox.parent is equal to character.humanoid root part, and then well constraint.parent is equal to hitbox. I knew I forgot to do it. Well, anyway, so attachment, right? Then we'll say attachment.parent is equal to character. Okay, that's the wrong thing. Is equal to character.humanoid root, or I guess to be exact in this case, we'd say enemy character dot humanoid root part, right? Then create a variable for the linear velocity, which is going to be our knockback. So linear velocity is equal to instance.new linear velocity, right? Then we'll say linear velocity dot parent is equal to, and then we'll say, once again, or this time we'll say is equal to attachment. Then we will start setting some properties. We will say linear velocity dot max force is equal to 5 nines, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then we'll say linear velocity dot vector velocity is equal to, in parentheses, we'll say enemy. Say again, make sure you're doing the right thing here. Enemy dot humanoid root part position minus character dot humanoid root part dot position, go on the outside, say dot unit times vector 3 dot new, then negative 80 comma 0 comma negative 80. You guys can of course adjust these numbers to fit whatever you want. Then you'll say linear velocity that attachment 0 is equal to attachment. Then you will use the debris service to add the attachment and have it destroyed after 0.1 seconds. Then you will say if enemy dot next animation dot value is equal to left. So you're just going to simply switch it. So enemy dot next animation, wrong thing, enemy dot next animation dot value will be set to right. Then you'll flip it. So else if enemy dot next animation dot value is equal to right, then enemy dot next animation dot value is equal to left. That simple, right? Then we're going to skip that end, throw an else if. We're going to say else if attack chance, or okay, attack chance is greater than or equal to 75, which is, rare. Enter. Then we will do the infinity attack. We will create an infinity spear. We'll say infinity spear is equal to game.serve storage.infinity spear clone, right? Then we will say infinity spear. We will set its C-frame pivot to enemy the human root part C-frame, and then we will say infinity spear parent is equal to workspace, right? And then we will say infinity spear well constraint part 1 is equal to enemy humanoid root part, right? Then we will set up our first tween. We will say, literally call it that actually. First tween is equal to ts create, and we will, infinity spear, of course, comma 0.3 seconds, comma enum dot easing style dot linear, comma enum dot easing direction dot out. You guys can customize all that, by the way. Right, and then we will set up the property table. Wait, I just realized. Oh, my bad, guys. I just realized something very important. Okay, so probably the easiest way to do this is to just copy and paste everything after we, the infinity sphere reference. So just Control C, and then I forgot to do the tween info dot new. I forgot to wrap it in that. Yeah, there we go. That makes more sense now. Okay, then put a comma in between. Like I said, I am tired. I'm not gonna lie to y'all. So inside of these special brackets, we're gonna say size is equal to vector 3 dot new. We'll say 80 by 80 by 80. And then we will, of course, play the first tween. We'll say ss.infinity. We will set the time position just to ensure it's been reset. We will play the sound. All right. Then we will have a delayed function. So delay 0.1 second, comma function, close parentheses, enter. Then we will set the second tween. Just copy and paste, save ourselves some time. So just copy and paste, Control C, Control V. Simply rename this to the second tween. Then just Control C, Control V. Now this time, it's infinity sphere. It'll be 0.1 second. It'll be linear. I think. Oh, okay. So this time it'll be in, and then all we're doing this time is just setting the transparency to. Oh, my bad. Let's do it again. This time we're just setting the transparency to 1, so we can clear all of this out. Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna do that. Probably need another one. Okay, maybe not. Oh wait, I know what it is. Okay, so we're just gonna say transparency is equal to 1, but I think I have an extra one by mistake. Yeah, there we go. So transparency is equal to 1. There you go. Okay, and then of course, just like before, play the second tween, right? Then you can skip the end, and you're going to then make it so that the character can pretty much barely walk very slowly. So speed is equal to 2. And their jump power is at the 2, right? Then we're gonna use some for I loops and stuff. Well, inside of another for I loop. So we're simply going to say do I feel like I wanted to switch it, so I don't know if I feel like doing it like this instead. Nah, I'll do it like this. Anyway, so say for I2 V2 in pairs, we will say character get children, close parentheses, enter. And then I'm going to say if v2, this is just to, give the attacks more life kind of thing. So if v2 is a part, we need to count for both R6 or R15, or v2 is a mesh part, right? Then enter, we will create a highlight for it. So highlight to pretty much highlight the damage. So 0 to instance, new highlight, right? And you can say highlight.parent is equal to v2. Then you're going to say highlight.adorny is also equal to v2. Then you're going to set up the highlight tween, which again saves us some time. Copy and paste, Control C, Control V. Oh, my bad. Control V. Then just rename this to highlight tween. Control C, Control V. Of course, here we'll put the highlight, right? Change the duration to 5 seconds. And then simply we're actually doing a lot with the properties, not gonna lie. So for the first thing, this is going to be fill color, right? So fill color, so it will be color 3 new 0.67. So 0.67, comma 1, comma 1. Then comma, and we're going to say outline color is equal to color 3 new 1, comma 1, comma 1, right? And then I believe that would be it. And then yeah, we would just play the highlight tween. And then we would be done with that. Then let's move on to the next one. Skip 2 ends. Then we would simply just say delay 2 seconds, function, close parentheses, enter, then just copy and paste, save ourselves some time. That whole function, Control C, Control V. And then of course we would just change, I3. We would change I3 to V3, and then yeah. So just Control C, Control V, just go through and just update everything. Bam. Right. Now, what's different with this is that you're simply going to say highlight is this time you're going to say is equal to v3 dot highlight because they should already have one, right? Then we're gonna have our second highlight tween, so you can delete these two lines and then just throw a two at the end of this variable. Bam. So the highlight 0.5 seconds linear in. Oh well, I guess the easing direction should actually be out for the first one, but it doesn't really matter, again, up to you. So then we're going to say in here, and then all we're going to do is just simply make it so that the fill and outline transparency is set to 1. So fill transparency, and then replace all that with 1. And then outline transparency, right? And we'll just say outline transparency is set to 1. Boom. So then we'll play the second highlight tween. Then use the debris service. We'll say ds add item highlight deleted after 1 second, and then we will skip 3 ends. Use the debris service again. So add item the infinity spirit, which will be destroyed after 1 second, and then we will return the character's walk speed back to whatever it is the default is in your game stuff. Their walk speed as well as their jump power. So bam, right? And then we are almost done. One last thing. So, because in all honesty, that was a lot. So, and then just double check. Okay, we are good because that was a lot. So we're going to literally go to the second to last in between the second to last and last end. Throw a task that way. It usually, but it's between like 0.1 to 0.5 seconds. So this is how often it'll update the enemy to pursue a player kind of thing. So yeah, there's a lot of typing and everything. Let's go ahead and make sure this works. It would surprise me if it honestly all works first try because I probably have to fix something. But yeah, let's go ahead and test to make sure it works. As always, if you guys want access to any one of my scripts or models, you guys can become either a channel member or a Discord subscriber. Link to either one of those options can be found in the description. Highly recommended. Okay, so if we go ahead and click play, you will notice that the boss already starts making its way towards me. You'll notice that the walk animation is playing as they proceed to pursue me. If I turn in a certain direction, the boss will follow me. As you can see, a notification appears saying there is a boss nearby. Once the boss came within range, then it'll fade away, just like that, right? Then the boss will continue to pursue me. Once the boss is within range, he will then begin using, certain attacks on me. Stuff. It'll either be between a punch or the infinity spear. So yeah, it's a chance. Honestly, the infinity is more rare, so I'm surprised it's happening as much. But yeah, doing damage and stuff. And yeah, so yeah, that's pretty much it. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, definitely leave a like, subscribe. I will see you guys in the next video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, let me know for sure. Let me know whatever else content you guys want me to make. And yeah, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.